Yes, good day. As we know, Hurricane Irma has traversed through the U.S. Virgin Islands with its devastating winds. The eye wall practically passed over the islands of St. Thomas, St. John, and wreaked devastation on those islands, including Water Island. The government of the Virgin Islands itself lost very valuable assets during this storm. We lost 2 fire stations, we lost 2 police stations. The roof of Government House, I'm told, was devastated or blown off. And we had significant damage at the Schneider Regional Medical Center, losing the cancer care unit with the walls in, windows in, roof gone, walls in, windows in, and the membrane of the entire roof of the Schneider Regional Medical Center gone. I really want to commend Tina Commission and her team at the Schneider Regional Medical Center for, during the middle of the storm, evacuating the ICU patients, the surgical and medical ward patients to the 3rd floor, to the center of the building to have recovery, to be safe for during the event. And they did an excellent job doing that. This morning, we're going to start the medical evacuation of the Schneider Regional Medical Center by transporting the ICU patients to the Wanglui facility, and then transporting the other 40-odd patients that were admitted to VA medical facilities. The Public Works is out now clearing roads and debris. I have established a series of priorities in this first wave of recovery. There's shelter to get tarpaulins on the ground and get folks the ability to cover their homes and to be able to have some shelter. Nutrition, food and water, debris cleanup, get the roads clear so that we can get into the neighborhoods to reach to our families and to our community and our citizens. Hospital evacuation to include the Eldridge Schulterbrunn facility, as well as folks who took shelter in the special needs shelter. The DOD and the Virgin Islands Port Authority were able to sweep the Rolston Airport field, allowing large military aircrafts to land, and they're now offloading resources and equipment at the airport for use in the recovery. They're currently sweeping the field at the Sir Lee King Airport so that that may be used and we can land assets there as well. The Coast Guard is clearing the harbor and checking the docks so that naval vessels can come in. President Trump called me yesterday afternoon and wanted me to express, or asked me to express his well wishes to the people of the Virgin Islands and to give them his personal assurance for the full support of the federal government and all of its resources in the recovery of the people of the territory. I must say, let me say to the people of the Virgin Islands that on behalf of you and myself, I expressed our deepest thanks and gratitude to the President for the support of his administration and the national government. I must tell you that the government, the U.S. government, has been awesome in its partnership before this event, during this event, and now as we work for our recovery. Members of the President's cabinet has called individually to lend their support and to find out what our priorities are to ensure that assets are provided. The U.S. Department of Health and Human Services is transporting a DMAT team of about 35 medical professionals to St. Thomas and St. John to be able to assist with the recovery and help with any medical needs that the community may have. We're working to establish temporary hospital facilities because of the damage to the Schneider Regional Medical Center. This will continue. This is going to be a long process. Recovery is not going to happen by any means in weeks or just a few months, given the level of the devastation. But here, we're working on protecting our citizens, on providing for our citizens and ensuring that their needs are met and that they're taken care of. The Water and Power Authority, we have contracts in place to assure for additional line support for the rebuilding of the distribution system and the resources needed for doing that. We're going to have 8 technicians, I understand, in the power plant today working with the WAPA team to make sure that the plant is safe, and then we're going to begin to roll out some work to start restoring power to critical areas of the islands of St. Thomas and St. John. For St. Croix, which will now become which is now the center of our recovery effort in the island, we're going to work to have power fully restored on this island. We were spared in this event by a great measure, and we lifted for St. Croix only. We lifted the curfew today from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. We're going to be doing an analysis with the Water and Power Authority. If they're able to energize additional neighborhoods, then we may lift the curfew altogether. But we still have secondary roads that have poles, lines, and trees laying across the roads. I'd like to thank the folks at the Department of Public Works who worked throughout the night here on St. Croix, clearing the roads and getting the first and secondary and some neighborhood roads open and clean so that we were able to lift the curfew at 8 o'clock this morning. So I'll have intermittent reports for the community from time to time. I really ask the people of the Virgin Islands to come together, to extend your hand in help and in support of each other as we go through this period of recovery. I ask the churches and all of our people to hold the folks of Barbuda, Anguilla, St. Martin, and the British Virgin Islands that were even devastated more than the U.S. Virgin Islands during this difficult time of their recovery. Let's come together, let's support each other, let's look out for each other, and let's just get through this in a way that makes sense, that is qualitative, and that brings our people back to some sense of normalcy. You're going to have plenty time for those of you who care to do an assessment and to talk about what should be done and what should have been done. That's all part of the learning curve, and we would appreciate that, and that's what we expect in an open democracy. But now let's just concentrate on our people and getting them taken care of. Communication is limited in the island of St. Thomas, St. John, and Water Island. So many Virgin Islanders that live abroad are having a difficult time reaching family members. I have received no reports as of this moment of any mass casualties, meaning that people are really sheltered in place. And we're going to work to enter or get some portals in place that folks on St. Thomas and St. John and Water Island can let their family members that live abroad know that they're okay. For those of you who live in St. Croix that may have space and have family and really good friends that live in St. Thomas or St. John, invite them in, take them in, invite them to come over and get a hot meal and spend some time out of the conditions of the devastation of Hurricane Irma in our sister islands. And so just extend a hand, let's be kind, and let's be comforting to all of our people here in the U.S. Virgin Islands.